but I mean, a lot of the big rain and everything's all gonna stay south.
Oh, good.
Oh, really?
Is it still
They
gonna
were
get
saying, yeah,
40s
quarter-inch.
tomorrow?
By the looks of it, I mean, we're gonna get something, but not like what they're gonna get south of us,
Good.
according to future forecasts.
And then it gets cold again.
Of course it does.
Just in time for the
And
weekend.
roller coaster this year.
Just in time to leave it.
Rachel, whenever you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, welcome everybody. Let's call the meeting to order. Rachel, you want to do roll call?
Yeah, John Cops.
Here.
Hannah Mulder.
Here.
Allison Larson. Here. Scott Reese.
Here.
So we are Susan Clark. And Josie.
Great. Did everybody get a chance to look at the meeting minutes from last week?
Yes.
They look good to me.
I'll make a motion to approve. They look good.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Good. Normally, this would be when we would ask if there are any board communications. And I'm thinking we don't have any, but this would be letters, or I don't know if it'd be phone calls to you two, Rachel, anything that you'd like us to know about.
No, I am just looking real quick to find the agenda because I had that and now I don't see it. One second, guys.
While you're doing that, we can see if there are any public comments from the audience. Okay,
There we go.
there we go.
Nothing from the peanut gallery tonight?
What's that?
Nothing from the peanut gallery. Nothing.
Thanks for coming.
Sure.
All right. Good, moving on to discussion items. Did everybody get a chance to look at the bylaws?
Yes.
No,
Fascinating reading.
you did.
Oh, okay.
I played fire chief all day today.
Pretty basic with everything else.
I had a few things I wanted to talk about in there. Did anybody else have anything? Okay. Do you want to, okay, hold up. First item is, right now it reads a park board. And I'm just wondering if we ought not call it the Parks and Recreation Board. So that also covers us for programming and events as well as just parks.
I like that.
I do too.
I'll go one little small step further, and I think we would not do this right now, but I believe I read in here that if we want to change anything in the bylaws, we can do it during the year. We don't have to wait until the next year. Is that right? Okay. So just one other thought is I'm really onto this idea of having the township participate more financially and also participate in our activities. So possibly,
Financially, that's gonna take time.
yeah, I know.
And right now with everything we got going on at council level, speaking at council, we should not get
Slow
into
down
that
on
right
that.
now.
Yeah, yep. I think long-term though, it's a really interesting idea.
I don't think
They
I think your
use our
thoughts
parks,
are,
yeah.
I think your thoughts are on
Mhm.
there. But given what we've got going on at the council level, we need to not poke that bear just yet
Okay. That sounds good.
with everything going on. Cause there's
Yeah.
a lot of different things going on.
Want to share?
No, it just, there's a lot of information coming in, you know, as far as the paid parking and a lot of different things going on. Nick is looking at some different options with the townships, as far as what their contributions are currently versus what they could be. So that might be something to hold off till later this summer.
Okay. And my
At least
understanding is that the contributions were for parks, the parks.
It is correct. That is correct. Yep. So, but given what's going on with other issues, we should not,
Stand down.
well, I don't necessarily think stand down, but I just take a breath and let some of this stuff work itself out. And then we can put a proposal together to go to the townships and do it correctly. So I'm guessing something like that would probably be a year out. You know, we could have something ready for fall, you know, and whatnot, and then approach them appropriately, or maybe we can do it sooner.
Yeah.
But going at them right now for something, I don't think is gonna be a good idea.
Not productive. Yep. And my thoughts were maybe at that time, you know, maybe we move from being more of a board to a commission.
I think
But we
should
can
stick
talk
with-
about it then.
I would stick with the board
Board for
because it's always gonna be the city who oversees the thing. Because they're always, I mean, they're the ones
We
that
own
participate
parks.
with, well, they're the ones that participate within our borders, so to speak. So we'd always want it to be this group that has a say versus allowing them, because once we open up that door, then we basically lose control.
Unless we have 5 board members and they have 1 each or something.
Problem is, how
Anyways,
far else do you
let's
reach?
just table that for now. Okay, so let's see, do we want to vote on the name then, or we can just agree that it's Parks and Recreation
I
Board?
think you have to vote.
Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Just know that we'll have to take this back to Jim Raymer and they'll bring it back to the next meeting.
Mhm.
And then they'll go, so we're gonna go another month technically without bylaws, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. It's better that it's correct, so. We good?
Yeah, just a couple other little things under duties. The Parks Board is charged with promoting recreation problems. Let's just throw in developing as well, because we don't really have any right now. Rachel and I had a brief conversation about setting budgets and reviewing funding alternatives, but she's saying really that's in the staff wheelhouse. So I don't know whether we would do any reviewing of that or like how we want money spent or any insights?
Not necessarily. The board is more here for policies and development of parks and not really the budget. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever come for like a big project or things like that, but just the day-to-day budget, and when it came to budget season, I wouldn't come to the board for approval. It would just go straight to council.
Yeah, I don't know if I totally agree with that. Like, I guess maybe that it might have to do with setting priorities, which I would think the board would get involved in.
Like projects? You mean like project
Like,
priorities?
What do we want to put in our plan for 2023?
Yeah, we would still do that. We would still do CIP projects and all of that together and rate them.
Mhm.
So I mean, that would still coincide with the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, it would just be, just like I said, like the day-to-day.
I don't think
plan,
we'd be
things
looking
like
at
that.
crunching numbers, but just
Right.
like, you know, how our budget's allocated.
Yeah, and that's why I said in that email, I know the DDA is now adding their budget to the director's report. And not really as a discussion item, just more for the general public to understand how the budget works. And like the line items, just, I don't know, just so everyone is on the same page. So I'd be open to that if we wanted to do that. So more of an
It
education.
might be helpful just to, you know, take the multiple page budget thing and boil it down into a little summary just to
Just parts.
recreation, yeah. Okay, let me see, that might be it. Oh, we were talking about term of office. It says here, the term of office shall be 1 year beginning upon election. So aren't our terms 2 years?
If you, so Victor read it, and if you go further, and I don't remember what section it is, it goes into the 2-year. It's worded strange, and it's in a different paragraph, but it goes into the 2-year terms. It is correct.
Okay,
You had some 1-year terms staggered.
Yeah.
staggered, yeah, but
Susan
generally,
and I are yeah,
once you're appointed, you have a 2-year term though, right?
correct.
So should
Well, I'll
this-
double check with Jim when I send it over for the other stuff.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
make sure.
Okay.
But that 1 year is in there, because I don't know which one of us
Allison and Susan Clark wwere put on
for 1 year.
for 1 year term.
So we'll be staggered.
And so just so
So then-
that there'll be a stagger.
Yeah, then after that, I think that it goes every 2 years.
Yeah.
2
I
years.
Yeah,
think
so
that-
that's explained like
Yeah, why don't you
later
check
in the
with
month.
Jen?
I'll
Yeah.
double check, yeah.
Because I think I had a question on that earlier on. That's how it was explained to me, I think.
Yeah.
That wording's in there to
Then-
get through this first year, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Then under meetings, I'm guessing this might have come out of tree board because
Yeah.
it's Friday, yeah, so we'll say Tuesday. Yep, and then I think that's it. No other comments?
I will get those over to Jim tomorrow.
All right, moving on to the 5-year plan. Anybody get a chance to skim that over?
I did briefly.
Yeah,
Good.
so we've got a couple things to look at. We need to work a little more, I think, on our mission statement, which is what we're about. Rachel and I have been working a little bit on goals and objectives. So this section should be, pulling back, what is the big picture? Not maybe down to project level yet, but like what are the overarching goals that we want to work on? Do you want to pull that up? Why don't we start with that, and then Scott also has done a beautiful PowerPoint presentation. You guys can read this. Kind of an introduction first. Also setting the stage that we're in an area with so many other great recreational opportunities that we don't feel we need to incorporate every opportunity within our 1.3 square mile city. So the first one has mainly to do with making sure we're reflecting what the community wants and that we're working within our budget.
So,
So-
Dan, just let me, this is new,
This is what I did.
added.
Yeah.
This isn't, we haven't put it into the plan yet.
No,
This is kind of like
This is
a.
new, because, I looked through the plan,
Yeah, this is
the plan,
separate.
but there's areas where there were new things.
Yeah, that was a lot of the
Okay,
plan was what
just so I understand. Yeah,
Denny had done.
that's
Yeah.
great, great.
So the first thing, if you want to scroll back up there, Rachel, for a second, is I think one of the first things we need to do is review and document the grounds for each park, and then also identify challenges and possible solutions. So maybe that's something we could work on for the next meeting. Why don't we talk about that later on? Using a different ways to stay connected, surveys, et cetera, focus groups maybe. And this will be important if we do want to get the township more involved. Seeing what other communities are doing, what's new, what are the new trends. I think leagues is interesting. A lot of communities do those, but maybe there's no interest. We'll have to find out.
Leagues.
Oh, like a volleyball league or adult basketball or things like that, or cornhole league, I don't know. Beer drinking league, who knows? That's kind of a programming thing, I guess. Then look at our priorities once a year. And then I think it'd be nice to do a update to council once a year. Do you like this first section, okay?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Second section,
Oh.
these are kind of some of these are taken like right out of the master plan, the city master plan. Jen?
I would, like the council, I would say maybe like twice a year,
Okay.
like midstream,
That's
midsummer
good.
kind of thing. Kind of update, coming out of winter, spring type thing, and then give a view of to what's going on.
Mhm. But I
Summer.
think it's nice to do what we've accomplished and what we're going to be working
And
on.
looking
Yeah.
forward towards,
Looking
summer,
forward, yeah.
fall type thing, and then
It's like
obviously we got the year end type of thing.
a 6-month check-in.
Basically, yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of keeps everybody
Yeah.
in tune.
So let's incorporate that, Rachel, and then why don't we just specify that update will be review our accomplishments. And then preview what we'll be working on. Okay, the second one is out of the master plan, and this has to do with providing a variety of recreation opportunities and active and passive stuff. People like to sit on a bench, and they also like to, do more active stuff like sledding. Try and have things for people of all ages and abilities. Try and have things in all of the seasons. Look into trail extensions, expansions, so that might have to do with the wheelway, for example. And then there's actually some trails that a lot of people may not be aware of that I think we'll talk about as one of our projects at some point. Connections between parks and non-motorized trail systems. Okay, so this is starting some new recreation programs that could be jointly sponsored with parks and with other people or groups in the community. Like a lot of communities do things like yoga classes, art, swimming, aerobics. And so maybe rather than create it, we should say explore, because what if people don't really want that? They're happy doing yoga, downtown or whatever. Identify other uses for Ottawa Stadium. And this was right out of the master plan. Enhanced parking facilities, but I think that's kind of been done, hasn't it?
What's that?
Parking at Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could take that part out. Review ordinances, set up procedures, fee structure for the scheduling events. Things like concerts, exhibitions, weddings, etc. And also stipulating that these private uses do not preclude use of the parks during the events. So that was something that came out.
I think that came out of council.
That came out,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I can't remember
We
what the
talked pretty
context
extensively
was.
about
We did.
Where, what, when,
Private,
kind of thing.
nonprofit, and closing all the parks to
Right.
the public during the high season.
Yeah.
Profit events.
Rachel, where would like the Hartridge program fall into the parks thing? Weren't you talking about working with the schools? far as
For the
the
summer camps.
summer camps.
So it depends. They're not gonna be using staff. They're just using the park. And they're
So
not
this wouldn't
using
really fall into anything we got going on here.
no.
Well,
Okay.
that's kind of addressed under goal number 5, which we'll get to. Yeah, and then I think we need to look hard at, are we charging enough fees for people like renting out Kiwanis, for example? Right now, there is no fee, just a deposit that's refunded.
I think somewhere down the road, we need to look at fees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's what that addresses.
Yeah.
I think it's a good goal to preserve and protect our natural areas. And then partner with schools and other organizations for interpretive experiences in the parks. Then goal number 3. This is out of the master plan, city master plan as well. Conveniently located, exceptionally maintained, safe, attractive parks. Priority given to making our existing parks and facilities as nice as possible before we undertake new things. I think that can be like kind of a guiding thing for us, actually. So I think one of the first things we'll do is look at all the parks in the city to see if we feel like there's any others needed. The only thing I could possibly think of is if we need like a little neighborhood pocket park, like uptown with a little playground or something. Or maybe the school is close enough, but something we can discuss
I
down
say
the
the
road.
school is highly
Playgrounds.
utilized, so maybe we just need to work, I don't know if we work with the school or just advertise that more, but that big playground and everything behind our hall or the school.
And it's a couple blocks from anywhere.
It's centrally located for just about
And then
anybody.
the park at the baseball fields too is there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
true.
that's on Rachel's
Yeah, it's
to-do
stated.
list for
Yeah.
cleaning up a
But
little
it's,
bit, so.
but it's, used a lot. Like
It is.
anytime you go
There's people
by,
there
it's
every-
packed.
Yeah.
Big space too, big trees.
Well, here's another thing then, conversely, do we have parks that are not needed? And a park is always good, I guess, but just thinking about Sneaky Beach, you know, do people use it? And can we even really promote it based on it being in the middle of Glen Drive neighborhood? And then the same thing with the Washington, you know.
Those are
Riprap
public
Beach.
accesses, so whether we promote it or not, I don't know what our usability is at either one of them anymore. I mean, I forgot about Sneaky Beach till her and I went for a drive and we were looking at everything.
Washington.
I
very
totally
different.
forgot about
There's
that.
nothing you can really use there because there's just
All
rocks.
that
and-
riprap, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
There's nothing
years
that's
ago, we used to be able
beach
to,
you can use.
years ago, that was an access to drive your four-wheel down and run the beach, but, you know, the property owners on either side now, so I mean, unless we put a bench down there, I mean, to watch the sunset or do
There is a
something
bench.
with.
There's a bench at Sneaky Beach for the memorial plaque, and there's someone who wants to donate a bench to Washington Street access as well.
So that
So I
would
don't
be,
know, maybe that's something that information that we put out is, do you know there are these two beaches? I imagine there'd be some hue and outcry in the neighborhood.
I don't-
mean, why have them if nobody's using them?
I think we should have them on our map. I don't necessarily think we should put a big neon sign out there that says pick me at those, but I don't think we should give them up. You know what I'm saying?
I eat my lunch at them.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm biased.
I mean, they're a nice little private
Well,
spots, so
we-
if you
and
know
you
they're there,
Yeah,
you know, you go enjoy it. I think we should have them on our map kind of thing,
yeah,
but probably not the ones that we're gonna promote to come hang out and have a campfire
yeah,
kind of thing.
okay.
That's good.
Then at each park, I think we need to look at parking and pedestrian, vehicular circulation, and undertake any plans to improve that we need to. I think it's really important to look at all the facilities and have a plan to repair or replace, keeping a historical perspective, and developing a maintenance plan and a record-keeping system and a budget. And that's Rachel. And then I think really good to evaluate all the equipment once a year for safety, and then just maintenance, and then budget for any replacements or repairs. Everybody happy with this goal?
Yes.
Yes.
Then this is something that's really important to have in the plan, and some of this stuff is in here, Rachel, right, to satisfy, is it DNR or is it the state?
Yeah,
or-
DNR is gonna have us in our plan, I mean, it's not this, but basically, we're gonna have a table, and we'll have a list of all of our parks, and you have to have a table that says how ADA compliant they are, whether if it's just a walkway or restrooms, or if you have an ADA compliant feature in your playground, anything like that, and that's just kind of a roadmap to really show you, because people don't really realize it until even a table, you know, like we have a lot of the picnic tables where you can pull a
Yes.
wheelchair up, but a lot of parks don't have
We
those.
don't have the extra arm
So-
sticking out to where a wheelchair
we
can
have a
wheel
couple,
up and be at the table.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a handful around, but not
So we'll
many.
have to have one of those, for the plan, and then we just added this as a goal, because they're really great amenities. I mean, if you think about it, if someone's visiting or they move to the area and they see a feature that their child can use that playground, that's a big deal. And they're gonna come back to Harbor Springs because they remember that feature is there. So just something to think about.
I think another thing kind of along this line too is with our aging population, you know, we need to make sure that everything is safe and there's no trip hazards for us old folks. I mean, you old folks, or
Are you?
whoever they are. I mean, I was talking about Scott. But, you know. Okay, happy with that one? Good,
Yes.
moving on. I think this is a nice idea, to create a sense of community through partnerships and collaborations. So this is, the first point is about schools, activities to be held at parks, and then also for parks programming that could be held potentially at school facilities. I can think of an example from Northville where we moved from, where they had winter pickleball. So just some things to explore anyways. I think creating community-wide events like our sledding event, and all of our fest this, fest that. Good. I think volunteerism is good. So we also had like park work days where we would encourage the community to come out, like to say Kiwanis and help do a cleanup or spread mulch on the path or something. Also events. I think it's good also to look into partnerships with businesses. Like you could have the bank does a work day at Marina Park and pulls weeds, or I don't know, we could think of some things. And then also this was in the master plan, the city master plan encouraged the use of the high school pool and the auditorium. Everybody like this section?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about the volunteering. We could add a link to our flyers to sign up to volunteer for the events, for the sledding events or whatever.
I thought about
coming in
that
the
too. Yeah, I'm
future.
glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that if people want to come and volunteer, there's access for them. Just click this. And then also partnering with Topo Nexus on
Yeah.
things
Yes,
too.
yeah.
They're part of that camp with the schools. They're gonna be part of that partnership.
Okay, moving on to the next one, funding. So again, this gets down to the whole township thing, which will be great whenever the timing is right to work on that. And then I think that'll be really good for helping with operational financial needs. And then I think for capital projects, grants will be great, private donations, millages, variety of things. This would be like things like the boardwalk, or if we end up having to fundraise for the bathroom building in the Marina Park. Or if we need like a little addition or something on Kiwanis. Yeah, we talked a little bit about having like a Parks Foundation where people could donate money, or Friends of the Park, something like that. And then, like you said, John, a fee structure for events that are held at the parks. And creative ways to get things done through specific workday partners, like a school or a business, or like Eagle Scouts are great for getting like various projects done.
And National Honor Society.
Yep, let's add that.
Good.
They have to do service hours. Anything else, I'm not sure. The high school kids in general have to do service hours or not, but
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I don't know actually. Yeah. And then I think we have to come up with some kind of criteria for how we're gonna fund things, you know, like a checklist that says, okay, this is accessible, this addresses all ages. Oops, this only addresses summer things, you know, just like a weighting system. Like when we pick our top 4 projects, how we would weight how things are done. I think a lot of it will be subjective, but
Like we rate our CIP projects.
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Or we
exactly.
can make like a table to base our decisions off of.
Anything else on funding? And the last one is awareness and promotion. And this speaks what you were saying, Jen, about developing a park system brochure. And it could be available online. I think we could also have it at different locations, you know, at the chamber, at the IGA, I don't know where else we would have it actually.
Gas stations.
Gas stations, yeah.
and as stores.
Yeah, if it's
they
just
would
a
put
2 or
them out,
3 page.
like a trifold.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
trifold would be great,
Map
yeah.
thing, like our local gas stations, things like that.
I think that interactive GIS one is great, but I think it's all nice to just have everything right there. without
Yeah,
having to
the
click on
GIS
different
is
things.
mostly for like the website and things like
Yeah.
that. It's not gonna be user friendly if you're
It's also, let's say, short-term rental brochure somehow,
Yep.
include the link to wherever they can
Well,
look.
we
for
could
parks
give
and
a stack of
recreation.
them to, I don't know, Jeff could give that out with, friendly neighbor thing,
Well,
or
like
whatever.
the
that
gas
is.
station across the village just opened back up, so it's a good spot to have one.
Yeah,
The BP out at Airport Corner, Barn Castle's Easy Marts,
or East
you know,
Door.
scattered, out at Nubs and,
No,
I mean, all of the,
Right.
that kind of thing, so.
Okay, yep, and then, social media, online presence. I think press releases are also good, as we discussed, online and social media, it doesn't reach everybody really. I think it's like we've started to do to highlight different parks through various events. So like we had Fall Fest at Marina Park that highlighted that park, and then Winter Fest at Kiwanis to highlight that park.
Right.
I don't know what kind of fest we're gonna have at Ford Park. Easter egg hunt. Anyways,
Well, you got, you got the art fair and stuff, they're down in Zorn Park,
Swing Park, yep,
and
and the auto.
then the
auto
beach kind
show.
of speaks for itself, the auto shows down there. So you got those different things. I mean, you look at what the chamber does, in some of these parks as well to kind of piggyback
Mhm.
promoting
Yeah.
things.
So,
Maybe at an event, we could have a little, some sort of information thing with the history of the park and how the park came to
oh, that'd
be.
be- yeah, that'd be cool.
A property of the city, who it was donated by.
Maybe it's named after. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Some of them are named.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. So that would be under D, so like highlight, history and interesting facts or whatever. So on tree board, we're doing a tree corner. I don't know if anybody's seen it in the paper, but where we highlight a couple of interesting things about trees in Harbor Springs with the tree board or our policies, and then also a specific tree. So we could consider once a month having a little, we call it Parks Corner. We could think of some name for it, but where we would highlight one of the parks or one of the events or the history of a park or something like that. Just sort of an awareness thing.
Yeah, my only thought on that is it'll get really expensive if we're doing that along with posting ads, thank you ads. It was all
We should
inclusive.
talk to Victor because I'm not sure we're paying for those.
You don't, Charles gave us. the
Yeah.
report.
Okay,
He's
then
willing to give
that's
us
good.
a-
That's
So then the other thing
Okay.
is, we just have to figure out like board members are actually, writing the tree board ones. So, maybe that's something that we could divvy up or something.
Well, it's just the thing that not everything's free that goes into Harbor Light, so it's one of those things.
We'd
I
have
mean, not a bad idea,
have to ask.
but we just gotta, I
Yeah.
mean, I agree with Rachel, we gotta kind of keep track of.
Yeah,
We want to get the word out, but we gotta be careful how much we're,
but if it's free, like the tree board one is,
oh, it's free, it's probably worth doing,
yeah.
absolutely.
Do you want to call Charles, Rachel?
We do it once, tree board does it once a month, right, Dan?
Yeah,
Once a
we
month.
would do it any more than
Yeah.
that. I don't even know if we need to do it once a month and if we'll continue.
Why
doing
won't
it.
it just for us if it's just when we got an event coming up, so to speak?
Yeah.
To highlight.
It would be nice though if people had, well, I guess if you have the brochures too. I mean, you want to brand the park, so you want people to always have a place to go. You don't want them guessing where they're gonna get their information from. You want it to be in the same spot. So if it's free and we can do it once a month and it can be like a highlight of the park or events, that's fine. I just don't want like the corner and then like an ad for an event and they're like searching through, trying to find
Yeah,
what we're doing. But also I'm sure Charles can
Yeah.
guide us on the correct spot.
Yeah, we might have.
Yeah.
Is this something that, I don't know, one of you guys mentioned it, can we throw in like the rental agreements?
Yeah. Yeah, for the grant when they do events. Yeah, I do all of our,
Well,
Right.
but like, no, like for the Airbnbs, short-term
Oh.
rentals, all that kind of stuff. And they're,
What's it called, the good neighbor brochure?
yeah, thank you. That's drawing a blank on that.
yeah, I like that.
Because that would be a positive thing to put into. the
Very
contract.
much, very much.
And then I think it's good to standardize our signage. I think we have a different looking sign at each park. So this is sort of the branding thing. So I don't know when we'll talk about that, or, you know, what we want them to look like, but, you know, I'm sure we could,
All the ones downtown are new. The blue ones are the newest. So, I mean, ultimately, we would stick with those, because those
Yeah.
were a pretty penny.
yeah, so that could be something that might be part of our
And I-
near-term plan is
Yeah.
getting some of the signs.
And I do have Kevin's number to get signs. He knows like we're on the docket to make all of our parks like that, so he won't be surprised when he gets that phone call.
I would see the way it's going, it's kind of, you know, once we can agree on the big picture goals and objectives, then we start narrowing down on some projects and have like maybe a little matrix with all the possible projects, have them prioritized and roughly when we want to do them and roughly how much they might cost. And that's that on that.
Thoughts? Let's go through yours.
Sure. So this is just in response when you get the email from Rachel to say, you know, come with your thoughts. And I like to put my thoughts down in writing. And, you know, I do it for a week or so and I review it and things. And this is what I think. And you know, really everything Dana just said, I'm on board with, and we're in the same direction on the same team. Mine are a little more simple, I guess. So I think for this year, one of the things that the Marina Park Committee was so successful because we focused and we got it done. And there's a lot to do, but so I tried to think about, well, what should we do? So this is this part to continue the improvements in Marina Park. And we started a very brief discussion about bathrooms and covered picnic area. And, you know, this is in conjunction with, you know, will they remodel the Harbor Master building to have laundry facilities? So first we need to do this, and we need to at least get a plan in place for bathrooms and covered picnic areas. I mean, if we can find a way, I don't think we can find a way to actually build it and execute it this year, but I think we need to have the plan in place. The same thing with Kiwanis Park. We have a number of, a couple of proposals that are very, very good and have, you know, interesting options. And I think what we've learned from the sledding this year is important. And we need to figure out, okay, so how are we going to pay for this? And what are the grant options? And at least to be able to present to council, this is what we are proposing, and this is how we're proposing it. The next item is about the Geese Control. I mean, I have to say, you know, I spend almost, you know, during the summer months and the fall months, I'm down in Marina Park and there, and, you know, we have to do something about controlling the geese in some way to make it more just better. I mean, because they were really tough this year, and they didn't leave until last week, I think. So that's another priority for me. And then I think we just need to come up with an annual festival plan. Let's decide now, what's the Spring Fest? What's the Summer Fest? The Fall Fest, the Winter Fest? What are they and where are they? Let's come up with a plan. And then, you know, as we get closer to each one of those seasons, you know, what is it that we want to execute? Certainly, both the Fall Fest and the Winter Fest have been very successful, considering how little advance notice we gave and what our budgets were and everything else. And I've heard just wonderful things. This week, I spoke to a young gal who is in her late 20s. She has a 4-year-old, or maybe he's 5 years old, and she loved the Fall Fest, and she's been at with Winter Fest also, and he loved being pulled back up. And I told her now there's some, you know, they came to the first one, so now we have some toboggans. So I think, you know, we just need to plan and decide what they are and when they are. And then, as it's been suggested, that there are some places where the equipment needs to be evaluated and prioritized, what do we do with the equipment? And then, of course, the rebuilding of the boardwalk as soon as possible and the fundraising and what's going on. And I know Rachel will have an update. So for me, even though the 5-year plan is so important and we need to do that, I still want to get things done in 22. I want this board to continue accomplishing things. Okay.
I think one thing that Rachel told me is that in order to be able to apply for grants, we need the 5-year plan.
No,
So I
For
think that-
Kiwanis, yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of,
Kind of part one.
absolutely. I mean, for me, I'm more about the ideas, the detailed execution, things like that. You guys know more than I do or understand more. But, I think, we need to strive to get things accomplished this year.
I think the big three, for the spring, would be like Geese Control. That's something we'll have to discuss sooner rather than later. And that, from a park standpoint, I've worked at parks a long time, that is a very hard thing to control. Like, it just is. You could try 1,000 things, one may work for a day. We have a goose poop cleanup thing, but then who drives it? I did it a couple times this summer, but I don't have time to drive it down in the summer. So those are definitely things where we have the equipment and we have like all the tools. So that's a big one that I'm totally on board with. I also agree with getting all of our dates out as soon as possible. And getting those on the calendar. And then obviously the boardwalk.
If the spring is gonna be an Easter egg hunt at Zorn Park on April 16th, or when,
Right.
Easter is the 17th this year, let's decide and, figure out what we're gonna do. And then these are just a little more long-term things, the building of the new skate park. I mean, Rachel knows more about this than any of us, but, that's an important thing. And, there can be some improvements to the city beach because it's such an important park in the city. And, as we hear about some situations or, issues with control at Zoll Beach. And then, I still think that, because I've lived in places where, dog parks are very popular and they seem to work and it's not fun. I wouldn't go in one, but, maybe long-term we can figure out, at Jean Jardine to have something. And then the next thing is just Ford Park about the kayak storage. And the other thing is like picnic tables and stuff. A place like Ford Park, it looks like, we haven't done much in many, many years there.
I think the bigger issue at Ford Park is dewatering it. The
Yeah.
water table is so high there.
Yeah.
You can't have a sitting area, really.
Yeah.
So that's an engineering project, and I don't know if that would fall under the city or under our purview.
Probably be a city thing, because it's all spring fed.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with anything other than it's clay and spring fed.
So how do we
That's all
refer
fill
that
in
to
there.
the city then?
Well, the council knows that it's
Yeah,
an
it's,
issue. I mean, it costs
Do you
money.
think it's in the
That's
I
nothing.
capital?
don't know much. about
unfortunately,
the park.
it's
People
not
grow
something
there,
that's probably gonna happen.
sit there. Is it a popular park for grilling?
I just put all the
and sitting on
sidewalks in
wall?
there.
No, I mean,
We took 4 inches of placard out of there.
Would it be, do we think, if it was?
Bad.
What do I personally think?
Yeah.
I think you'd have a few more, but it's more in and out part.
Yeah, that's kind of I think that's really what we need to
No,
decide.
it's
That's kind of
absolutely-
my gut, is it's.
it's
a launch.
absolutely an in and out kind of park but,
But a few picnic tables down there, I think would be nice. We do
There
whatever for
there
lunch.
are right now, there's
Hang out.
picnic tables, and we put up those panels on the restrooms and they painted the restrooms. And so,
Yeah.
There's a lot of
is there
people down
anything
there
we
for
can
lunch.
do, a little bit to make it better?
Benches for the ferry too would be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
But
then,
that's pretty busy at lunchtime and different times like that. A lot of
Yeah.
workers go down there, hang out.
Yeah, they do.
yeah, my last thing is the continuation of the bike path downtown. I can tell you, I go almost every single day to Marina Park, and I have seen so many groups that are coming now on electric bikes,
Yeah.
and they're coming, and they're coming down there. And
I mean, they're everywhere.
it's a big political issue because I don't know if, Allison, if you know that the sidewalk in front of those condos,
There's a
somewhere,
lot that goes. into
yeah,
it.
there's
We'll
a
just leave
lot,
it at that.
there's a lot of issues, long-term issues that have to be resolved down Bay Street in order to continue the parking, besides the tunnel and to get the right kind of steps or a ramp or something like that. But it's just an idea. It's an idea that, we should maybe look at as being an important
These
thing.
are all good project ideas, I think.
Yeah, and I think,
So,
you're incorporating what you put together, you're on the same page.
Yeah, I think it's in a different section maybe though. So we started out with the broad stuff, and I would like to propose that the next thing for our next meeting that we look at in the master plan is to go to each park, and I don't know if everybody has time or we split them up or whatever, but to work on what do we see there now? What are the issues? What are the challenges? What are some brainstorming ideas for what to do short term and then what to do long
Yeah,
term?
my only thing with that is it's winter, you're not gonna see all the issues. If you go to the skate park right now, you're not gonna, I'm not saying we have to wait for summer, full blown summer. But I think we need to at least wait for late March, April, just
Yeah.
because I think if you walk through the skate park building, you're gonna have a much different view than if you're on the outside of it. Or, I don't know if anyone's gonna actually walk they're just little things that not all the benches are there, tables aren't there.
Not a bad idea, but yeah, kind of wait until spring is here,
Yeah,
when the snow's gone, and we can kind of see what,
I think it'd be
Well,
good
yeah.
to get the 5-year plan done sooner
But-
than later though.
Yep.
But for me, for
Well, we can start a
example,
vision for it. for
whatever
sure.
the spring
Twink it.
festival is, you suggested an Easter egg on the last meeting. Now it's February. I'm telling you, we gotta start putting together the ideas in March so that we can execute.
Well, in regards to your
in
festival,
February.
Scott, I think we need to make sure that we work either with the chamber, when it comes to some of these festivals, to make sure we're not going against.
Right, we
I
have
mean,
the
I'd rather
chamber and we
piggyback,
have
I'd
the
rather
DDA
piggyback
too.
with them on some of their festivals
Yeah.
and things going on.
I
But I
mean,
agree with you, seasonal, for
we have
sure.
both, but my main point is that, now is the time that we need to have, a calendar and a plan for the first one and the second one and, to go on. Otherwise, you're at the last minute and you're wondering, who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that?
Here's what I'd like to say is, I don't think we want to overtax the board for one thing. And then there's so many other things that go on. I don't think we have to be responsible for having something, every season maybe. So, I think in the winter, I don't even know if we need to have a winter fest per se. I think we just need to have twice a month community sledding events. Rather than like one thing and then.
Well, that'd be fine,
people-
or even like the DDA, her and I kind of talked a little bit about this after the fact, but the DDA does some things, I don't think we need to go against.
No,
It'd be better if we
I
worked
agree.
with.
I agree.
And whether our name's on it or their name's on it, we
Yeah.
still advertise it,
Right.
it's still at the parks, it's still part of the
Correct.
parks
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily us putting it on per se, and
Yeah.
maybe there is some seasonal things where we do put them on.
Yeah,
We
we maybe-
advertise it as
Yeah,
the Parks Board.
Yeah,
But
no,
we got these
I
other,
agree.
we got these other entities,
Yeah.
within our area that are doing all these other
Right,
things,
because-
so,
Yeah,
and the
certainly.
parks.
Yeah,
So we
Donnie
also
does a
just
great job with the
Work with them and
entertainment.
advertise it.
so so I think for winter, we have sledding, right? For spring, does everybody like the idea of an Easter egg hunt somewhere? Yeah.
This
Do we
year,
wanna
it's what,
do
the
anything else?
We got
17th.
the eggs.
Yeah, we got the eggs, yeah.
Yeah.
So is it just an egg hunt or do we what else why don't we research what else could
Yeah, I
happen
think
at
we can
that
talk
time?
about, we can put it on for the agenda. for
Okay,
next
so let's
meeting.
talk about
Yeah.
that next week. Then, I'm gonna say in summer, I don't think we need a fest. There's so much stuff going on in the summer.
I agree, I think we can piggyback
I agree.
some of the
Yeah.
other festivals going on and
We're
just
busy.
help out, advertise, be
Right,
a part kind of thing, but
And then
Fine.
fall, I think we'll do our fall fest again, if you guys like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
So we just really
And
have
the chamber
one
work,
fest.
I
Yeah,
look at the chamber working with us on that.
yeah,
If we can help the chamber out on a couple of things, let them help,
That's fine.
have them help us,
yeah.
that fall fest. You guys did a great job on that.
I think the key is to keep it for kids. That is what made us so successful with Fall Fest, and that's what made
Yeah,
us
family
different
oriented, yeah.
in the DDA and the chamber, not taking away from
Right.
what they do. But it's not.
I agree.
Our,
it's not a beer fest.
So let's have on our agenda for next week then, to bring ideas for what to do about the egg hunt and where to have it. So there could be a few options there.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, and then I would also like to propose for our next meeting that we pick another section of the master plan. So like you said, maybe inventory isn't the best thing to do right now, or maybe it is, I don't know. Another idea is like,
Well, I haven't
Take
looked at
off
the
for what's-
master plan. Is there an inventory in the
There's a
master
section.
plan?
It is, but
Yes.
it doesn't have technically all of the parts property.
and the part that it doesn't, why don't I would agree to rough up issues and challenges for each one of the parks. I think Denny started out with an inventory for each one. Then do we want everybody take off on what Scott started with, project ideas? And maybe we could just start putting together a spreadsheet with all the project ideas. And
I think it should be based off what our CIP projects already are, instead of starting something from scratch that's already made. We already have CIPs, so we can reevaluate our CIPs, but I don't think we need to start it from scratch. I think that's taking on something that doesn't, recreating the wheel, if you will.
so what do you see as our CIP projects then?
Our CIP projects are like the skate park, the boardwalk. What else is on there for? I don't think there's anything else on there for next year. But it goes out 5 years, 6 years, so.
But this would also include the little stuff that's still important, like, setting up the maintenance schedule and the
So anything
review
under
process.
10,000,
And,
okay.
yeah, tasks as well as like actual capital projects, maybe. Does that sound good?
Next, we can look at the CIP, see what's in the 5-year CIP currently. And then, yeah, the lesser,
The lesser stuff, we're
Stuff.
gonna need to work that in as well. Maintenance stuff like Kiwanis bathrooms, for example, or Kiwanis utility sink.
yeah, little things. Yeah, 'cause it'll be a few years before we get anything major up there, so.
So if that sounds good, maybe for next week, then, what do you think, Rachel? Is this good, maybe to start looking at projects if?
And then you and I can sit down and look at the master plan. We've already had a lot of headway on the master plan. Doing the inventory, those things will be a very quick.
Quick thing.
We'll have it done I foresee by June, it'll be completed, even with waiting for spring to go and look at the parks.
Yeah, it won't take,
It's not gonna take very long.
So would it make sense to have all of us maybe a week ahead of the meeting, get our ideas to Rachel and she could put them in a spreadsheet? Is that asking too much?
no, that makes sense.
Great idea.
I
And then
think,
she can pile the information.
She can
whoever-
compile it, yeah.
Whatever's piggybacked up, then we're not,
And so the way Victor did, he had a really good projects list for tree board. And he referenced each project to what goal it addresses. So that's a way to kind of justify ourselves that the projects we're working on address the goals that we have. So you could reference back to number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever.
right?
And then at some point, we'll need to prioritize.
Yeah.
another thing I'm sorry, Scott, I went away. Were you,
No,
was it?
I agree with everything everyone is saying. These are just, my thoughts and more of an overview.
They're all good.
Because I think this is important, both marketing and fundraising. Clearly, this is a community that will step up if we have the right plan in place and the right goals in place. So I think, to have some kind of marketing identity for the Harbor Springs Parks and Recreation, because we have a lot more of a presence than we ever had before. I mean, it's a big difference. And then, that as a fundraiser to have entertainment venue at Ottawa Stadium, I mean, if the chamber can get the right group to come in there and play, I think people will pay. And, it can be a fundraiser that we share or something, but we should utilize Ottawa Stadium somehow.
I agree with that.
And then.
Used to be years ago.
Yeah.
We've had
Somehow.
concerts and football games, have
Yeah.
brought college teams in here, have done different things over the years.
Yeah.
There's been different things, good
yeah.
events there.
Fundraising they quickly raised $4 million to build the Lyric Theater. The community, there's money there. People step up. But, we need to have a strategy in place for these major renovations. And then the next thing is that this Parks Club volunteers, because clearly, 4 or 5 people can't run all these events and go to sledding all the time and things like that. So we need, to me, it's sort of like the garden club, there's, I don't know how many people that volunteer for the garden club, and sometimes there's more and sometimes there's less, but we need to come up with a strategy to, how do you become a Parks Club volunteer? As a nice thing to do for a community service. And if we can get, a core group of people that show up for the events to help us execute whatever events we do, I think that would be a good thing to try to come up with. And then finally, a Parks annual fundraising event. Oh yeah, this is, the Taste of Harbor is very successful for the Chamber of Commerce. And I think we could have a tournament of champions as an idea to have, chess, checkers, and cornhole, tournaments down there. We talked about it last year, right? And, but, some way where, people pay some money to be their team and we give them a prize. And, I'm thinking like a trophy maybe that, is not that big, but the top of it looks like Victor.
Or we could have, another idea on that line is we could have an annual pig roast in the park and sell tickets. That's fun.
I like that.
There's different ideas, for sure.
But I will tell you that the chess tables and the checkers, and it was really amazing to see multi-generations playing chess together. It was a heartwarming thing to see, as well as, the cornhole is more of a high school kind of age, and young people like Dana like to play that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So,
Guys, we have 5 minutes. I don't mind going over a little bit, but.
Okay, so the rest, I think, it's not so different than what you talked about, and you have done the research.
Good stuff.
So I'm good.
All right, let's see. Rachel, sledding dates.
Well, actually, I have to go over Josie. Josie sent in a goal that she is recommending, which I really like. And it's an environmental impact. Do our best to reduce the negative impact our parks can have on the environment. So one of the goals would be use non-harmful products, pesticides, cleaners, fertilizers, signage, use eco-friendly materials, have recycling and or compost stations with proper signage, communicate our efforts to the community, communicate what the community can do to help.
Let's see if we can find a way to work that into
I
the
think
goals.
we can,
Yeah.
weave that into the sum we already have, but I think that's really important. So that's a good one. Okay.
Let's see, sledding.
So we just want to add, the only thing I have on the discussion is adding the March dates. So, and I am available. I don't know if there's anything. Yeah.
Let's see, this upcoming one, Scott, are you at?
Yeah.
Yep, you're at this one.
I can't do the first weekend in March.
I'm at this one. I work the same afternoon, night, but I'll be there.
That doesn't mean it can't happen the first weekend in March. It just means.
My opinion, in March, we should try to do it either the 5th or the 12th, or even, is anybody opposed to a Friday night?
No.
Either the first 2 weekends or the second and the third weekend, and because after that, everybody's spring break and gone, and
I
it's
agree with
over
that.
with.
You gotta get them in quick.
If we wanted to do 2.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
I mean, the
You
kids can
hold
walk
the
up
key.
hill.
You're the most important part.
Well, I mean, that ATV will be there regardless.
And the kids did like having the lights. That was
agree.
huge. Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be a little warmer in March, so
Yeah.
you wanna
Do it
try
at
a
night.
Friday night?
Yeah.
So let's see, our next one is the 26th. So what if we looked at 2 weeks after that? Are we gonna do 2-week intervals between?
If we did that, we'd have to do the 12th and then the week after. I don't really want to go later in March.
But if you're gonna do a Friday, it's the 11th.
Or do you wanna do 4th and
That's fine.
18th? 11th
You should
and,
just do one more.
I gotta say, let's do the 11th. That's
Okay.
Friday,
Okay.
yep.
Friday 11th, under the lights.
Under the
And
lights.
do we want to say, what time did we do the other night? Was it
Five.
So it's
Five.
5 to 7.
7.
Okay.
It won't be dark. 5 o'clock in March isn't dark. I don't know if that matters or not, but it won't.
And it's gonna be a Friday and parents are just gonna be out of work at 5.
So we
So
wanna
I
do
think it
6
has
to
to be
8.
6 to 8
Yep.
to be,
Rachel,
And why don't we look at doing pizza at that one? You and I,
oh, that's fun.
yeah.
we get a sponsor for, see, we set some up
I
VC
got one
Pizza,
more,
plenty of.
I got a sponsor actually.
BC Pizza is sponsored for the skate park Halloween event.
Oh, so
were
they would
very
actually pay
generous,
for it. Okay.
and I don't think they gave it to us for free, but it was a very generous price. So it was a lot of pizza.
So
No,
do
but we could advertise, that, get it set up well in advance and
Yeah.
advertise that.
Yeah, well, so March 11th, perfect.
That'll be year
Okay,
end.
so Rachel, you can get all the press out on that
Yep.
and talk to BC Pizza. And I'll arrange, oh, no,
Do we have somebody lined up for the next one?
Sorry, Peter. And that's actually in my next spiel. The EDA Boardwalk Grant, I'll just go over it real quick. It was a really weird situation. So they recommend having it in by January 31st. So we rushed to turn it in. And then they extended it to September 21st. And then I think they had a huge push of applications in that last couple weeks. So it's closed. They closed it immediately because the asking funds are way over what they have available.
so good you got it in.
Yeah, I got rid of it. So we could know in 2 months. We might not know for 6 months. They don't really have, I have a pretty good relationship with the Chicago district head. So he said email him anytime for like an update, things like that. So I feel pretty confident that we'll keep the line of communication open. All right, and then,
Director's report.
yeah.
Oh, we had a little fire drill about the master plan. I thought the review of the master plan was Thursday. It's not until middle of March. But if people could kind of review the recreation section in there and see how you think it jives with what we want to do. I had an initial look at it and I think it's kind of okay, although they want us, I think we're kind of going from the standpoint of the community has, a further out community has so many good resources. We don't need to have cross-country skiing in Harbor Springs, for example.
Sure, like
Yeah.
cross-country ski, the golf,
Yeah.
Frisbee golf trail.
I think, next year to have a enchanted forest on the Frisbee golf trail would be great.
It's not all a bad idea either.
It's very popular now.
Yeah, they
Or
play-
snowshoeing.
The kids,
Snowshoeing.
yeah.
There's a lot of cool things that could happen up
Mhm.
there in the hill.
Jot that down on your list, Scott, for a project is Enchanted Trail.
No, I think it could be great. It doesn't have to be the whole course. I mean, it needs to be geared towards
The first
kids.
9, yeah.
Yeah, like.
I just feel like it would be nice, for us to, at that feedback session or community input session for Rachel or someone to say, yes, we've looked it over and we concur with everything. Here's one thing maybe that we would
It's
ask you
actually a
to
public
change.
hearing on the 17th.
So,
And with the Enchanted Trail, like how Pond Hill has the Gnome Trail, we could come up with something.
Right.
A little bit.
Find
Correct.
the ferries, the snow ferries, or
Right.
something on the trail, yeah.
So-
Look for
and
it.
sell tickets to it.
Mhm.
So admin updates, I'm working on a seasonal staff manual. We don't really have one right now, which leaves a lot of things open-ended, in my opinion, when something happens over the summer. So that went out to the lifeguard manager and our skate park manager. Once they look it over, it'll go to Victor for any final edits, and then that'll be completed. All staff will sign it like any other staff manual. We applied for a Petoskey Rotary grant for $25,000 for the local skate park that is in, and then a Petoskey Harbor Springs Area Community Foundation does 2 grant cycles, one in fall and one in spring. I did the spring cycle for $15,000 for the skate park. So, and we will know about those in the next couple weeks. Those are really quick turnarounds. So
What's the total amount needed for the skate park?
So it's kind of strange, bear with me. So, if you look on the fundraising site, it's 600,000. To actually build the skate park, it's 350,000. When I did the grant, said 400 with a 50 buffer for like just very light landscaping and benches. The 600 is if we ever did anything to the building, any future maintenance, which there really isn't any for a concrete skate park, things like that. Planting trees, because those pine trees are all gonna come down. That's in the city plan along 119. So to build it, 350.
Okay.
A windstorm damaged the black pickleball fence along the skate park. Of course, there was the brand new fence. Harbor Fence has been quoted and we're on their schedule to come back in the spring. And then I ordered the partitions for the beach and 4 restrooms. And then I'm gonna order all new hand towel, like paper towel, toilet paper, all those. So those bathrooms will basically be remodeled.
That's great.
And then programming updates, I won't go through
So could I just ask, what are we gonna do about the Kiwanis bathroom? That's particularly bad too.
the Kiwanis restroom. That'll be something we'll have to discuss. I mean, we could get new
Into our
toilets. Cause right,
Project list, yeah.
yeah, cause those toilets, that would be an easy fix. We could get,
School kids toilets.
I mean, right now, those are just residential toilets for children. So we could do minor repairs ourselves, new partition, those wouldn't be that expensive to do quick stuff on. Programming updates, if you wanna look at the surveys, you're more than happy to after the meeting. We didn't have any negative comments about the event. We went through pretty much all 50 hot dogs. What do you think? We had like 8 left, if that. So we had a good turnout. It was too cold. I didn't go count cars. Our sponsors for this past weekend were Gail and Bill Brown. And then for the next on February 26th, will be Mark and Nancy Rundell. Thank you. So yeah, we will. And then I think for next year when we do it, like Scott said, pick our dates well ahead of time and then have a sponsorship form where people can come and do. I have a feeling they'll fill out pretty quick.
Did Jim Cassidy ever reach out to you about sponsoring?
No.
His name's Jim Cassidy.
Mm-mm.
I think it's great that it's free. Because I wasn't here the last one, but the one before. And I just think it's a great thing
Yeah.
for kids to be able to grab a hot dog or a piece of pizza or something.
I think kids
I'll
brought
reach
their
out.
family there for lunch, or parents brought.
At least to
their
help.
kids.
Yeah.
Which is great,
Right.
really. I mean, that's great. It gives the parents a break from cooking and the kids love it to eat a hot dog in the snow. And I just think it's really a nice thing to do.
We are gonna, and then just a couple of comments before we wrap it up. We are gonna change the agenda just a little bit, if that's okay with everyone. We're gonna remove one of the citizen comments and change it to public comments. And what was the other thing we're gonna change?
Change Commissioner Mulder.
Yeah, the
Like
chair.
Commissioner
Yeah, I
Gordon
have that
on the
changed
board.
already. And then I think it was board communications we're gonna add.
Yeah.
So it'll be changed just a little bit. It's not gonna be any drastic. And then for the next meeting, we can bring up the projects. I still want to talk about public input options and a mission statement. So we'll just bring those back around. Those aren't.
Yep. And then the Easter egg hunt.
And Easter.
When is the next meeting?
That will be March 15th, which is very. Isn't it? March,
Only
it's
February,
coming.
March.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else from anybody? Okay, let's adjourn.
Good stuff.
Yeah. 7:08.
All right.
Good start, I think.
Yes, they're all this season.
Okay.
Yes, they're all this season. Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
I'm gonna take a picture of my sign. You know?
Good point.
Everyone at Nashville.
Night, John. See you
Good night.
soon.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Night.
Night.
Good job.